Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Bree Gentili. She is also known as Dr. G, and she is the founder of Dr. G's Lab, a pioneering consultancy specializing in trauma informed UX solutions. Welcome to the show, Dr. G.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about creating safer digital spaces for all ages. So, my first question is to understand about this trauma informed practices. And you talk about UX research and in terms of UX solutions. So help us understand about these things so that we can then move on to the other questions.
Yes. So trauma informed really means that you are informed that trauma has happened to most of us. It doesn't matter if it's a very big experience or just a smaller experience, that trauma is everywhere and it happens to us more often than we think. And so when we have trauma informed practices around UX research and UX design, it means that we're always going to be considering that trauma may affect this person across from me, so I need to interact with them differently. I need to say words differently. Maybe I need to avoid questions altogether. Maybe I need to check in with them after. And then when it comes to the design part, we know that trauma is stored in our eyes. And so everything that we see, we need to make sure that it's taking that into account. So very flashy things, maybe not something we want to consider. We want to make sure that our things are consistent so the eyes can build trust, because that is what it's really all about in the end, is we want to repair the rupture that trauma has made, and we do that through trust.
Right. So what kind of trauma are we talking here about, and how is it related to digital spaces? So I want to understand that for the audience.
Yes. So I really focus on trauma within youth, and that would be adverse childhood experiences. So that can be things like child neglect, child abuse, your parents were separated, your mother was treated violently, you've had some housing issues, some discrimination, some issues with deportation. So those are the things that our kids are dealing with now. Even bullying is still an issue. So I think about those things and how those affect their bodies, how they also affect their psychology and their mental health. And then I think about how would they like to be part of this new digital solution, whether it's a website or an app, how do they want it to look? If they were going to create a new Instagram, for example, what would they want it to look like? What would the safety features look like for them? And so that's how I really look at the trauma and the different events and how it can affect us as we go on through life, and how we do need to experience things in our digital spaces a lot differently than others who have not experienced trauma.
Right, right, Dr. G. Now, several people may say, that if you have got trauma, then going to a therapist or something like that would be a better option. How does, these solutions, in terms of UX solution, in trauma informed UX solutions, come in vis-a-vis the other options? Help us understand when it will work, when it will not work, and what's the role of a therapist then in trauma cases.
Absolutely. So none of this work would ever be able to replace a real person and going through real therapy to experience that. It's going to be very different than experiencing something on an app. But for example, if you look at Calm is a very popular app that people use for breathing and relaxing. And if they took a little bit more of a trauma informed approach, they may do something a little bit more around eye desensitization, or they may ask you some more questions about journaling. They may ask you to go outside more. So the interventions are a little bit different that we can prescribe digitally that And a therapist is going to be able to talk you through all of those emotions and feelings. And we don't have the time to do that on the app. Even the really good ones are still just a journal or somebody on the screen. It doesn't replace that person face to face.
Right. Now, what's the role of, especially in workplaces, people have a lot of complaints of various types. So, what role can organizations play in this? What roles our neighborhood can play in this? How do we bring these things to our youth, our people, in terms of what solutions that you are offering? And it can create a safe space, digital space for not just youth, but a lot of people of all ages.
Yes. So the biggest thing is having conversations, like you and I are having conversations. The more we can talk about it, the more we can say, yes, trauma exists, but we can do something about it. The more we can talk about it, the better it is. I would love to do courses. It would be just honestly a dream come true to be able to do training courses for companies and schools that want more information about, how to talk about trauma, because a lot of the older generations who are teaching our children, who are leading our companies, they didn't have this privilege to be able to talk about mental health and burnout and bullying. If you were bullied, it was something, well, there's something wrong with you. You have to be tougher or you have to run away faster, right? So it's different now, and our kids need something different than the tough love or push through. So that's something that I would love to do, to work and collaborate with people who want these types of trainings and who I could give these trainings and these workshops. It would just really be able to spark a conversation that could travel a lot further than any website could.
Right. You talked about a website. Now, are solutions beyond that just a website? Can you give us some example also how this has worked for people, whoever you have tried to help, so that people can understand how these things are working on the ground?
Sure, absolutely. So one of my best projects that I've been working on is it's an app that connects high schoolers to college students who are actually in college. So they can actually ask them, what is it like to walk to school? What is it like to be from India and be in your campus? What is it like? Do you have a lot of Sikh? Like, if they want to know what it's really like, and not just the stuff that you can see on the school website. So that process has been me working with high schoolers and really listening to them, knowing that like picking out a college is very scary for them. It's a big deal. It's a business to them. Some of them really want to know it's going to be worth their investment. And then on the other side, the college students who are wanting to help, they really want to be accessible, but they are also not looking for free work. They want to be compensated for their work now and compensated for their advice that they're giving. So it was really great to work with the teenagers and get feedback from adults along the way. But it was really the high schoolers that led the process, from the colors to how they wanted the font to look to the logo. It was really the students. And then what we're doing now is it's in development. And so what I've promised to do, because of trauma informed work, is I've promised to stay on with this organization to help with some maintenance. Because a lot of times you'll get these contracts, they'll develop the app and you're done. And that can be very disruptive. And so part of my work is to kind of stay there for a little bit, make sure it's working, make sure you have your questions asked so that you are feeling empowered to run the app the way you want to. So that's just one example of how it can look by getting trauma informed and being really centered around that people need a little bit longer time than what these quick contracts always have.
Right, right. You talk about empathy also as as a thing that is needed. Can these sort of things, things that you solutions that you provide, where does empathy come in? Can we bring more empathy to not just the youth but everyone else around, so that we are much more kinder to people, especially people who are already suffering?
Yes, absolutely. So even in just what we put in the button, for example, on clicking something, instead of saying click here, we can really have that text be something meaningful. Come on the journey, or healing is just around the corner, right? So we can make our button text just very simple way. Another way that we can do it is we can be really mindful of the words that we put in our content. Did we say the word shoot? Did we say the word trigger? Did we say rocket? These words can be, they can very be hurtful to people, or stir up things that we don't need to. The other thing is to be consistent. A lot of times when we're adults and we're working with something and the app doesn't work, oh my gosh, we kind of lose faith in the company, right? Like,
Right.
what has happened here? And so,
Right.
if we can be consistent, it will help so much. And if something goes wrong, communicate, because we know there's people behind these big organizations and these big apps. We know there's people behind the Facebook. If something goes wrong, let us know. Tell us that something went wrong so that we can trust you to be there to fix something. So that's how empathy can come into play for all of us.
Right. Right. Tell us how this is working on the ground. Is it getting good response? What are the challenges that you people are facing on the ground about this?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is honestly because UX is still very young, and when we think about it, is getting people to have a conversation that actually requires them to slow down. Empathy and having emotional intelligence requires us to have lengthy conversations. It requires us, when we're doing our UX research, to have 7 participants instead of 11 participants, because we're slowing things down and we're actually asking them, what does that feel like to not be able to use something the way you want to use it? And so asking tech world to slow down is always, I feel like, a big thing for me, because people want to move fast. And if people aren't moving fast, they feel like somebody else is doing it already. And so having that trust in slowing down is a challenge. But what is people are being receptive to is that it feels good. It feels good to do this work because it's the right way to do it. And so I think that because more people are starting to feel good about their work, they're coming home happier. They're being able to balance a little bit more, and they're able to have projects that mean something to them, and not just the projects that they put on their portfolio. So I think that the fact that we're doing the right thing is really going to help the world. It's really changing the way that UX researchers and UX designers feel. And that's important to me.
Right. And so your solutions, are they only focused around the around US and areas around that, or it can be accessed from
Yes.
people all across the world?
Oh, yes. People all across the world. I love working with people across the world, especially in India. I want to work in India. I want to collaborate with people in India. So, yes, I would very much love to be able to put my services over across there. Would be wonderful.
Absolutely. So tell us about, Dr. G's lab, exactly how people should consider what exactly it's all about.
Yeah, Dr. G's lab is a place basically where youth or youth serving adults can come and create a digital solution. You can do everything from just having a design, and we'll bring it, or just even an idea, and we'll bring it all the way to concept. We work especially with youth. If your project requires us and we're not allowed to work with youth, we'll turn your project away, unfortunately, because we need to work with youth. If your product is for the youth, it's imperative. And so we do all of our UX research and UX design with the trauma informed lens, which means that everybody who works on our projects, they're aware of trauma, they've been informed on trauma and the principles that we use to do research and design. So we really have built some awesome things, but we're so excited to work with more youth, especially youth abroad. Would be wonderful.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, people who would like to connect with you, organizations who would like to connect with you, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yes, the best way is to email me. So my email is Bree, BRE, at drgslab.com. It's in my website, drgslab.com. lab.com. The best thing about it is I'm actually not on social media because I don't feel like it's safe. So it's wonderful to meet people and do projects because I know that I have found those projects and those people have found me through a very real intention and relation. So it's really wonderful to not be on social media having to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.